Late afternoon here in South Africa. That's the New Zealand combination, captained once again by Todd Blackadder. And, well, we pick out the names in that side and we know them. The back three, Cullen Umanga and John Olomu in particular, given the space, can cause a lot of problems today. But certainly that pack of forwards are going to be under a lot of pressure today. There's a lot of work for them to be done. And back in New Zealand a couple of weeks ago, they struggled against the Springboks, perhaps came off second best. And that tight five there have got a big role to play today to give the platform for Justin Martin. Johanni Rasmus is very welcomed back, one feels, by South African rugby folk, with Andre Venter moving into the lock position in place of Van der Berg. Robbie Fleck is a late replacement for David Barry. And, well, Grant Esterhuizen will start his first test match for South Africa. Perhaps plenty of opportunities for those replacements. Troy Flavel, very highly rated in New Zealand. And on the South African side, Willie May has come onto the bench because Robbie Kempson is another one who's out. And Ollie Leroux has come on in his place. So there'll be some question marks against Ollie Leroux whether he can last the match. But certainly there have been a lot of rumours about replacements relatively early in the match. And when I say early, we're talking about half-time onwards. But that remains to be seen just what happens. So a massive tussle today it will be. And with me today, as usual, Andy Capistano. Andy, tactically, the Springboks have played a certain way up to now. There's been a lot of talk about kicking for position and ultimately, obviously, for possession as well. Do you see a change in that today?
I'd like to think that the coaching staff of South Africa were humble enough to admit that they've been wrong for the last 3 or 4 games, because I'm not alone in saying that the Springboks are digging their own grave with the way that the halfbacks are being asked to play. Now, whether that is going to change today, well, we'll find out in the first 5 minutes. But if what we see is Bram van Straten standing deep from set-piece ball and passing the ball even deeper with his first touch, then I think we know that we've got more of the same. And I don't think the Springboks can beat these All Blacks with more of the same. But if they come out and we see Bram is standing a little closer and that he actually uses the boot a few times, I would love to see the likes of Umanga and Lomu being made to turn and go back for the ball. Ron Cribb is another guy, the number 8 for the All Blacks, who's wonderful going forward, not so good going backwards. And I would love to see us return to a kind of tactical approach to the game that involves the use of the boot. But I'm not so certain that this coaching staff is going to do that. I think they might just say it's home ground advantage. We might have struggled away from home, but this is Ellispark. We're going to play the same game, and this time we're going to win.
Well, the Springboks have certainly got to take the bull by the horns today and come at the All Blacks rather. We heard the words of Andy Capistano, which I certainly endorse as well. And there's no team that likes to turn and go back. And perhaps the weaknesses that exist in the likes of John Olomu and Tano Umanga is with the ball behind them. And there's the big man himself just coming down there. And he's never scored a try against the Springboks. So I'm pretty sure that he's going to be really geared up. And right back to 1995 Rugby World Cup. The final that was played here, the Springboks snuffed him out, and I'm sure he'll be looking for some opportunities. But this is a very proud team, and it's a very settled combination as well, although we heard a little bit earlier from Murray Mexted that he does believe that they're still very much in developmental stages in terms of becoming a great All Black side, and there's plenty of support here from New Zealanders as well.
I think one thing this season, the front row from Otago have been exposed a little bit. They sort of came on the scene as supermen last year. I'm talking about Muse, Oliver and Hoft. This year they've been exposed a little bit as not really the hard men that they initially appeared to be, and that means that there is a little bit of softness. There's a key man and there's another one. If the back three of New Zealand get good ball, then they will kill South Africa. But if those back three are made to turn, there's Ron Cribb in the corner of the screen already mentioned it. If they're made to turn and go back and have to defend, they're not half as good. The other area, Gavin, that I think is very interesting is in the midfield, where Eremia and Alatini are a good couple of players, but I don't think they're a pair. I don't think they gel together very well, and that might be an area of weakness for them if it were not for the fact that Robbie Fleck's playing at inside centre for South Africa today.
Well, that was the point I was going to make as well. You know, it's a little foreign, It's not that he hasn't played there at all before, but it is a change. Esterhuizen's first test, and perhaps a lack of experience certainly in the midfield there as well. There was some calls beforehand to bring in a man like Peter Miller or Brendan Venter. Neither of them have been playing much rugby of late, but to bring in experience there, because the vital cogs in teams, certainly in the midfield, is your centre, your inside centre rather, and your fly half.
Well, you mentioned Peter Muller and that he's not playing much rugby. He actually made his debut for Cardiff last week, and that's where his rugby is going to be played for the next 2 years, and I couldn't agree with you more. Peter Muller is exactly the kind of guy that I would be calling in, not as a long-term replacement, but as a guy who could do you a job in a match like this.
Well, it's crisis management time, certainly in terms of getting victories. The Springboks know that, so whatever it takes to get it, I guess, could well have been the call. But this is the combination that's coming out today. There's Robbie Fleck in picture. Big day for him. And Chester Williams, well, he's playing on home turf today, and he's always given absolutely 150% for his country and done it successfully. Now, Andre Venter is the man who's coming out, and that's a nice little touch. He recently played his 50th test for South Africa, down under, and he's been allowed the opportunity of coming out first.
Yes, first home test match for Andre Venter since he passed the 50 mark. There's a man who's really starting his Springbok career, Andre Vos, and it must be wonderful for him to be back in front of a home crowd with some support, because it really has been a lonely job of late. The interesting thing, Gavin, only the second time that Andre Venter has actually started a test in the lock position, and the first time was also against New Zealand 3 weeks ago in Christchurch.
Well, they've got enormous respect for that man. Believe me, plenty of New Zealanders that I've spoken to. That's the youngster Grant Esterhuizen, who's a versatile player. Played a lot on the right wing as well, but outside centre is his berth today. Can that man last longer than 60 minutes today? He's, by his own admission, is not perfectly match fit. And, well, the players just moving forward now as we wait for the national anthems. We've got Shosholoza going in the background, but we'll soon have God Defend New Zealand and Nkosi Sikelel, E-Africa, for the South African combination. The crowd have packed in here at the last minute, and there was talk of pretty much a full house. Well, that's not the case, but a lot of them have come in at the death.
Ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you please stand for the national anthems, sung by Claire Johnson.
Nkosi Sikelel, Africa, Malupagamisu Pondolwayo, Izwa imitanda zo yetu.
Well, if you look at the faces of those 44 players on the field, I think they certainly tell a story, and that is very, very strong mental preparation has gone into this game with both those teams, and it's a big, big game for both of them, but in particular South Africa to resurrect their situation in international rugby. And we're going to have the New Zealand haka now with the Springboks lining up against them, and the traditional haka will be led by Tane Randall. Well, the man in picture was Case Muse. That's probably what you'd call a rare challenge, that.
Well, I remember Ian Robinson before the 1991 World Cup introducing the then world champions. There is Case Muse, and saying, I don't know about you, but they scare the willies out of me.
Well, there he is in picture, and Andrew Mertens is going to be the man to start this test match, and I reckon conditions here in Johannesburg pretty near perfect. There's a little bit of cloud cover, it's coolish, but certainly a lovely, lovely day here. Andrew Cole, the 38-year-old dentist, will be starting his 11th test as a referee today. He's from down under, Australia, and a big day for him as well. That man, Todd Blackadder, has done a really, really good job with the All Blacks since becoming captain. There were some question marks against his ability as a player, certainly having been a retreaded flank forward, but he's shown that he's a great leader of men, and he's done a really good job.
Well, we've been talking about the crowd, Gavin, and I just heard a report that there are still people outside trying to get in, and the traffic system has not been terribly well organised. So we're going to end up, I think, with the best part of 58 to 60,000 people.
Well, that's well deserved, one feels, for both sides as well. Big, big match this. Since coming out of isolation, South Africa have won 2 here, New Zealand have won 2. Short for Mertens. Andrews, the catcher, always powerfully, very powerful and very solid under those high balls. Springboks playing a little behind the advantage line, and that's the first kick. Is that a sign of things to come? Cullen now. Umanga finding space, and that's good support play by the New Zealanders. Even big Norm Maxwell's in the back line. Justin Marshall's kicked through. Tinus Delport on his home turf. He'll know his way around this park.
Well, he was outside the 22, and so that's bad news for the Springboks. We talked about the kicking before the game. What they mustn't do is kick badly. And Werner Swanepoel's first kick was a poor one. Christian Cullen set up this whole movement from being in the right place because he knew where the ball was coming down.
Well, that was your point a little bit earlier, one feels, Andy, as well, where not enough pressure was put on Cullen after that kick. It was very much a defensive kick from Swanepoel, and the players couldn't get up enough, but that's a good take in the line out. Both teams, you'll see, one feels a lot of competition for line-out ball on opposition throw. Mertens down the line, Elatini, and now the big man. Closely watched by the Springboks, and good work by Van Straten, but the Springboks, one feels, were offside.
Kobus Visaki's the man who's been called, and it was from very early on in that movement. A lot of advantage was played, and the All Blacks got nowhere, so they come back.
And a lot of people were talking during the week as well about last year's encounter at Loftus Versfeld, which is now Minolta Loftus, where Andrew Mertens kicked 7 penalty goals and just effectively just squashed the Springboks out. And discipline was also spoken about this week, and the indiscretions will be heavily punished by this man if they continue in this game.
Well, this is where the offside occurred, and in fact I think the referee was already playing advantage before that aerial shot was brought in. There he is, the arm comes out there, Kubis Fasaki is done, and the All Blacks running onto the ball from deep, and immediately you see Lomu coming off his wing to search for work. They used them a lot in the midfield.
Some distance out, but boy, can this guy kick straight, and can he kick well. Mertens then with the first points of the match.
I suppose we should remember that if there's anything in history, Andrew Mertens has never won at Ellispark.
And John Olomu still hasn't scored a try against South Africa. Van Straten's kick in is well targeted. There's a lot of competition from the Springboks. Swanepoel. Van Straten just had a little look up, and then the inside pass. Captain Vos taking it up. Fasaki. Big pressure being provided now by the Springboks. This is Erasmus coming back in field. Van Straten himself trying to go through, but it was a little bit telegraphed. Nevertheless, the Springboks have kept the possession. They want to take it through more than 2 or 3 phases. It's been a little bit of an Achilles heel for them in recent matches. Fleck getting through a little bit of space. Paulser, there's good support from the Springboks. Marais. Big charge here from Grant Esterhuizen. Still they come. They want to score here, the Springboks a chance, but Umanga comes through, and the referee says that they were offside. It wasn't Umanga that was offside, it was a little bit earlier than that.
Yeah, quite a lot earlier, and the referee played a lot of advantage there. Umanga was never going to come away with that ball, which is, I think, why the double skip pass was attempted. I'm sure the Springbok players were aware of the advantage situation, and they took it through a lot of phases there. But once again, if you want to be hypercritical, they didn't actually punch a hole in all of that.
A little bit of a grimace on the face of Bram van Straten. He detected a little bit of a limp as he walked back to the referee.
Well, what concerned me in the pre-match build-up that we saw, Gavin, was quite clearly we saw Bram van Straten having his left ankle strapped very heavily, and if that's not 100%, then that's a real concern. Robbie Fleck's first real touch of the ball at inside centre is a good one. Now, Bram van Straten, I don't think that was the pass of a natural ball player. You know, he got himself into a situation where he had to make a decision quickly, and I think the decision was the wrong one.
At the end of the day, 7 points would have been better perhaps than these 3 that Van Straten might well get. And given his kicking record, he's certainly kicked well for his country. 81 points. They're always a little bit tricky, this from the right-hand side, and that's come off the upright. Justin Marshall. This is excellent play by Anton Oliver. He's really got them up to the 22, which is what they needed, and it's given them a little bit of a platform. Kronfeldt. Good support play coming from Iramia.
Stay up, leave it.
Lomu downfield. That was clever play that by the left winger. Just gone a little bit too deep. Now Delport, he loves to run with it. Looking to go on his own. He's got through 3 or 4 tackles. And it was quick release, what the Springboks wanted. Now they've got to get it out. Still looking to come in field. And the in-tackling mechanism of the All Blacks was well oiled. Van Straten.
Stay on. Inside.
Springboks certainly getting a lot of possession in these early exchanges. The big question is that you've got to convert them into points.
Well, we were talking about having a look at the
away.
first 5 minutes going, 7 minutes gone now, and I honestly can't say that I see anything hugely different. They're taking the ball through phases, the ball is being presented at the breakdown, the scrum half is then throwing the ball out to guys who are standing still. There's nobody running onto the ball. This is Tinnis Delport, who sets up a really excellent platform here, but then it goes nowhere.
Well, all just a little bit predictable perhaps as well, and players just looking to settle their nerves. You can see that the New Zealand pack a little heavier than the Springboks, and certainly the Springboks have got mobility, and Mark Andrews, the second most capped Springbok ever, has served his country well. An important test match for him as well, as he looks to cement his return. He's only 27 years of age. Van Straten, the little run around, but again unable to get the ball through the hands. Fenta. New Zealand will know if they can defend well here for these first 10 minutes and not concede points. They would have done a really, really excellent job. Swanepoel, Fleck, little show of the hands, but again it's good defensive work by the All Blacks. And one fancies, Andy, again a level of predictability about the attacking mechanism of the Springboks.
The only unpredictability is exactly who the scrum half's going to pass the ball to. And really, everybody's standing still, and they're expecting almost rugby league style for each man to beat the other man in order to make space. And it's not going to happen.
Don't go in, Locks. We're waiting for the call.
Well, the Springboks couldn't have asked for a better scrummage. Slap in the middle of the field on the 22. Two attacking options for them.
Stay on.
Swanepoel into the half gap. Chester Williams now. Inside he goes. Chester Williams has got the first try. And that was really poor defensive work from the All Blacks. But the little fellow just kept his head down, swung inside, and a great finish.
Well, they say you can't score from first phase anymore. You mentioned what a wonderful platform it was. This is where it's created. Swanepoel, who's done nothing but pass the ball to date, makes the break, which enables Chester Williams to be able to throw a move when he gets one-on-one. This is super play by Swanepoel because he keeps the ball high through the tackle, releases it over the top, and then Chester's only got to beat one man. And that's classic simple rugby, and I wish they'd play more of it.
Well, a lot of pressures were taken early on as well. As you can see, Swanepoel, who everybody expects to pass, just getting up there. And that was a really poor effort that by Christian Cullen, who was caught flat-footed. And the Springboks will welcome that. That's a huge boost for them.
Well, we mentioned Andre Fenta's second game at lock, Gavin. The thing we didn't mention was this is the first time that Chester Williams has started a test match since November 1995. Now that is an amazing statistic because Chester Williams is a top player today and has been for the last 5 years.
Despite those two horrific knee injuries in the interim. Can he have better luck this time? Right hand upright with the first kick, and this one is sailing through.
Well, you can't overestimate what a try like that will do to a team because they know they can hurt the opposition from first phase ball. Never mind this nonsense of taking it through the phases. Let's play rugby from first phase.
And of course the scrum provides that platform as well, with the loose forwards tied in. If you can use the pace around the fringes, you can certainly do something with it, and that's a rare mistake that from Andrew Mertens.
Difficult to know why he would kick it so far out after he's been in the game already.
We're at altitude, Andy. We're at altitude. Just didn't quite get hold of it, but again the Springboks have got a midfield scrummage. Fleck back in field, and the support from Erasmus. The Springboks expecting a big game from the flanker today. Fenta.
Roll away.
Fenta not able to run into space. And now the big chase. Swanepoel down to Christian Cullen. And I guess that's what the Springboks want to do, and it's what you were talking about early on.
Well, I've got a good feeling about what's happened in the last 5 minutes, because suddenly a few different things are happening. Actually, I felt in that move, and you're the old fly half, that it was the fly half who should have been kicking for the corner, and in fact they took it through another phase before the scrum half kicked for the corner. But because it came a phase late, actually didn't matter, because Cullen was in the wrong place.
The man in picture there was Ron Cribb, who's getting some treatment at the moment. That's Robbie Fleck. Springboks moving around in the line out. Eventually it's Andrews with a catch. Force getting over the advantage line, and again the Springboks looking for quick possession. Van Straten. Erasmus down the line they go. Fleck with an incisive break and the little signal to the crowd.
Well, one thing about having an outside centre and inside centre is that you do get the outside break every now and again, and that was lovely rugby. And again, so simple. This was about third phase ball, hit up by Brown van Straten. I wish we'd see him do more of that. Quickly available, and it becomes one-on-one again. He beats his man, easy try.
Well, Peter Alatini was the man who missed the tackle, and they were tackling out with the All Blacks on that occasion. It's always a dangerous thing to do when you're close to the line. It just helps to open up space, but the All Blacks somehow had just spread themselves a little bit too thinly.
Well, the conversion's good from Brown van Straten. I was just thinking, Gavin, Springboks haven't scored a try at all for a month. Now they've scored 2 in 5 minutes.
Oh, there's no rain on the horizon. Can Mertens get this kick in exactly where he wants it? The All Blacks have spent most of these first 12 minutes in their own half of the field. Again, it's Andrews up for it. Very, very secure from the kick-ins. Oh, that's interesting. Van Straten had a little look up to see on the far side where Tana Umaga was standing quite flat. Changed his mind, and that was good thinking as well. It was a visionary approach by the fly half, not just a catch and kick. Well, you can see, as we heard from Andy Capistano, the All Blacks just got sucked in, and then the space was created for Fleck. You could see Alatini on man marking on Grant Esterhuizen, which opened the space. Oliver. He's got more Maxwell in the middle, but it's Blackadder in the front, and that's a poor line out for the All Blacks. Superb work by Justin Marshall, but still they're under pressure. This is Kronfeldt.
No advantage, lost forward in the line out. Green stump.
That was a very interesting piece of refereeing, because the knock-on is in the line-out. The ball was in play for a good 30 seconds, and the Springboks would be delighted that they got that advantage, because they had a chance to run over Andrew Mertens.
Wait for it. Crouch and hold. Engage. Steady.
All Blacks certainly feeling the pressure right now.
Bring it up. From the left. From my left. Crouch and hold.
Certainly in these
Lock
early
in.
exchanges, enjoying the mobility of Ollie LaRue as well at loose head prop.
Steady. Let's go. Bring it up. Let's get the angles this side. You get square, you get square. Get the angles this side.
120 kilograms of Case Muse, last man up,
Engage. Steady.
against the 126 of Ollie LaRue, two big men. Getting over the advantage line was critical on this occasion, but the Springboks have messed it up. Now a chance for counter-attack. Watch out for Cullen. This is Umaga for a start. He's got right through the tackles, and the All Blacks have punished the Springboks for that indiscretion.
Well, I just felt that this was the wrong move at the wrong time, and easy to say, but look how quickly they turn defence into attack. The missed tackle from Van Straten, with Chester Williams having to cover the outside, meant a straight run to the line for Tano Umaga. But I'm really not entirely certain why that move was called by the Springboks from that position. I certainly would have liked to have seen them setting up another field position with a kick downfield or taking it through the forwards.
Well, Andy, I'm not sure that the players were strategically placed as well for that particular move, but still, nevertheless, the All Blacks have got themselves back into the game, courtesy of Umaga and Mertens. So 14 points to 10 is that scoreline.
Well, when you see the replay like that, it really does look a mess, and you wonder how many of the back line were actually in on the move that Brian van Straten called there.
So 3 tries, and we've had 15 minutes of this match. A real feast. In fact, 18 minutes. The stadium clock not showing quite the same as what we've got on our screen. And Andre Vos just having a quick word with Andrew Cole. Todd Blackadder with a catch. Mertens downfield, certainly enjoys kicking at altitude, and that's just perfect bounce for him. So perhaps the All Blacks have said, well, if the Springboks are going to play like that, so are we. They just haven't had the possession to do it.
Well, this is the kind of old-fashioned test rugby that certain coaches say you can't play anymore. And I'm afraid that the All Blacks against the Springboks is always the same. It's always hard, it's always close, and it's always won by the team that keeps its head the best.
Andrews again has been a tower of strength in the kickoffs and the lineouts. But that's poor play by the Springboks. They've surrendered possession. Well, the referee says there was a knock-on first, and it really was a bit difficult to work out just why Erasmus played that ball in field.
Well, it's another example of going back to kind of third, fourth, fifth phase possession when from that. And any old-time player will tell you should be kicking deep.
Stay on, number 6.
Ron Kribbe's dangerous from the back of the scrum. There they come. Marshall. Did that ball go forward?
Train forward.
Yes, says Andrew Cole.
Forward.
Josh Kronfeld beating Michael Jones today.
One of the keys here, Andrew, as well. Just watch at the pace at which the player is running off the ball carrier. And your point a little bit early on was the Springboks seem to be a little bit flat in respect of that.
Use it.
Early delivery that for Swanepoel. And he's got it out. He would have liked to have kicked it a little bit deeper, one fancies.
Yeah, off the right foot, which is not his favourite. It wasn't a bad plot because, again, Lomu was up very flat, and if he'd got it closer to the halfway line, I would have been very happy with that. Second phase, South Africa are killing the All Blacks.
Straighten the line. Thank you.
Well, it's taking a while for Blackadder and his men to settle down. Certainly an intimidating stadium, this Ellispark. Anton Oliver. This time it's Norm Maxwell with a catch. Good work there by Kobus Fasaki just to hold the All Blacks back a bit, stop the momentum. And the switch to John Alomu, who's again closed up in midfield. This is Eremia. All Blacks looking to use a little bit more of John Alomu. Good support play coming from the rest of the All Blacks. They're very good at controlling possession in these sort of situations. Merton's looking to go himself. That's a sight you don't often see. Still, there's good support there. That's Elatini onto Umaga again. Cullen. Absolutely no room for Christian Cullen to get moving, but they've got the penalty, the All Blacks.
Side number 1. Offside.
Penalty against Ollie LaRue.
Another long advantage from Andrew Cole. Wouldn't surprise me to see them take the points here, and that's what's going to happen. Kick it goal.
There's sometimes you just get a little feeling, and that feeling of mine right now is the All Blacks are starting to settle down.
Well, this is Mertens running at his opposite number for the first time in the game. Mertens perhaps doesn't do enough of that. Now the All Blacks come flying through. That could have been penalised. I think it's Eremia who was flying through and off his feet, but it was after the referee had called the penalty against South Africa.
The noise in the stadium is really quite dizzy. And now Mertens, virtually from straight in front. He doesn't miss too many of those. So second successful penalty for Andrew Mertens. Just van der Westhuizen and the rest of the bench just staying warm. One wonders about Van Straten, whether he is in fact struggling with an ankle injury. This is Umanga. Ron Cribb will try to take it up, but the Springboks look to cover well and then miss their tackles. And that really is something that they've got to work quite hard on in this match, because once the All Blacks get the momentum going, that's the sort of thing that happens. Another massive punt that from Mertens. Delport. Big punt from him, Umanga. All Blacks forwards having to turn and come back, but they did that rather well. It's another big punt from Mertens downfield to Chester Williams. Opportunity to counter. This is Andre Vos, and not the best of kickers, but he should surely have put that out. Big pressure on the Springboks right now. Van Straten. Wise move that onto Swanepoel, who's shown some vision. Andrews again inside. That's good play by the Springboks and good support play by them as well. Van Straten. That's what the South Africans have been asking for from Van Straten, just to look to chip every now and then and just to make the All Blacks turn round. It hasn't worked out well for them though.
Just a tackle.
But still one senses, Andy, perhaps just a little bit of adventure creeping into the Springbok game. The timing of it is absolutely critical though.
Just as many guys.
Well, the first try was created by a bit of vision from Werner Swanepoel, and this field position was created by him looking up inside his own 22 and realising that he, a back, was up against a forward. And that enabled Brian van Straten to poke one over the top. They're very unlucky not to get the ball back from there. I think what we want to see is we don't want clockwork rugby. We want players making decisions.
Stay off the scrum.
Bit of pressure on that All Black scrum as Marshall gets an awful delivery. And that's turnover for the Springboks. Chance now for Fleck. Inside he goes. It's going to be an easy path for Fleck. And try number 2.
Turnover ball, so often so difficult to defend against. Jonah Lomu was absolutely nowhere, didn't know who he was supposed to be picking up. And once again, you've got a situation of a guy who's one-on-one. He's got one man to beat and the try line is open. Simple, direct rugby. Let's see some more of it.
Well, certainly confounding any of the critics. From an inside centre berth, there he goes. And a sharp eye for the gap as Robbie Fleck got. He's got the pace off the mark as well, and that's a super finish.
I'll tell you one thing, Gavin, Robbie Fleck has had such poor quality ball throughout the last 4 or 5 tests because of the bad game plan, that he's now revelling at inside centre because he's getting good ball.
What a against the upright. 2 successful conversions. Can Brown van Straten make it 3? That'll be 21 points then for the Springboks. Well, we'll just keep an eye there. It was a poor effort again, this time by Taine Randall, who was also caught flat-footed with that inside break of Flex. And really just reveling in the opportunity to run straight, Robbie Fleck. He is a straight runner, loves it, having the ball in hand. And, well, that's his second one of the match. Brave take that in the face of adversity by Andrews. Fasaki.
Roll away! There it is, onside.
There's the kick from Swanepoel again, and it's a long haul this for Christian Cullen.
Noticed off camera there, Andre Vos turned around to applaud the man on your screen, Werner Swanepoel. That was a great decision and a wonderful kick. Look where he is. That's the 22-metre line behind Werner Swanepoel. He's put it out 5 metres from the other line. Now, some might say that's turnover ball. So bloody what?
Well, whichever way you look at it, it's pressure on the All Blacks. Short line out called by them. Back to Taine Randall. No competition from the Springboks. They'll be disappointed with that. Marshall just has a little look up. Mertens. Well, the Springboks have not allowed the All Blacks to play rugby, and we've certainly seen from the statistics that there's been an entire domination in terms of possession and territory by the Springboks.
The one Springbok mistake in midfield has led to an All Black try, and that's what they must stop doing, throwing bad passes around when they've got good ball.
Andre Vos used in the line out on this occasion. Here comes Swanepoel again. Knock on coming from Braden Porser.
That's forward. In 5.
Half an hour gone, and I reckon Werner Swanepoel's never played better in a Springbok shirt.
Just having a look at Braden Porser there, and that half an hour gone, he's hardly been in the game. Hardly seen Corne Kricher as well, but he's certainly been doing a lot of work, one guesses. This is Eremia, and Peter Alatini going over the top. A lot of aggression at the rucks from both teams. Penalty against Ollie LaRue.
Number one, must roll away, leave it. Number 1, roll away.
I think it would have been rather difficult for Ollie LaRue to roll away from that. He had about 3 guys lying on top of him.
Well, All Blacks just coming back a little bit in terms of the ball retained through the rucks and mauls, but still the Springboks have the domination there. And the difference right now, 8 points. Change of tactics by the All Blacks, looking to short line outs right now. They're not happy with the way it's gone up to now. Ron Cribb at the back, and it's all become a little bit messy for them. Vos. Erasmus looking to go back in field. He'll want to consolidate, and then again it's a quick release which the Springboks are reveling in. This time here comes Flack. There's extra space now. Kricher, Corne Kricher showing a clean pair of heels. Where's the support play? He's not going to make it. This is Paulser. Quick delivery again wanted. Chester Williams in possession. Here they come. It's a try. Werner Swanepoel has put the finishing touches.
Well, we were asking just now where Brayton Paulser was, and he was very, very important in that movement. The break made by the loose forward Corne Kricher, who held on to the ball long enough and was aware enough of the space around him to wait for support. The support comes in the form of Pulso. And watch this, a lovely delivery of the pass from Robbie Fleck, and a great assessment. You see he's looking left, he's looking right, he knows who's coming. Now Pulser takes it around and sets the next phase, and it's from here that Swanepoel picks up, goes blind, and there's not an All Black in sight. Tane Randall's up, he knows what's coming, but he can't get there.
Well, that's a bonus point, the 4 tries to the Springboks, and really wonderful that Swanepoel is the man to have scored that try. He's really had a good game as we move into the 30th minute of the match. The most difficult kick of the day for Bromford Stratton, along with the conversion of Williams's, attempted conversion of Williams's try. Another one off the upright. Now the big question is, can the All Blacks come back from this? They're down 13 points right now, as we see Swanepoel with the finishing touches. Referee just waiting for advantage, but there was a knockdown. One senses only the body language of the Springboks perhaps tells the story too, doesn't it?
You're almost pinching yourself because the Springboks have scored 4 tries in 35 minutes. One thing I will remember is that the All Blacks do tend to come back very well.
Hold it, win.
Quick take by Swanepoel, looking to be the playmaker. Fleck. Esterhuizen, who hasn't had too much of the ball, but here they come again, another chance for Delport. Beautiful running by Delport. Martins will not stop him. Springbok.
Pinch me, please, pinch me. Well, what on earth is going on? This is the kind of direct rugby that we've been asking the Springboks to play all year, and suddenly here it is. They're playing with so much adventure. Erasmus holding on to the ball long enough. Robbie Fleck is absolutely having a field day, and Grant Esterhuizen's pass there might have gone forward, but this is a very similar try to the one that Tinnis Delport scored for the Cats in the Super 12, when he just took off on the left wing, cut in field, and because he's got such pace, there's never anybody who's going to stop him.
Well, no tries up to now in the Tri-Nations, and yeah, we have it, 5 of them already in the first half of this match. And little Werner Swanepoel has had a hand in pretty much all of them. He really has been a tough cookie for the All Blacks today. That's it from Van Straten. So the Springboks now into the 30s. Swanepoel with that quick take. Again, Fleck, one feels, has managed to get enough people onto him, and the release was done really at the correct moment. But that's lovely running by Delport. He is a quick man, and just swerved inside Christian Cullen. Van Straten, a huge punt downfield. John Alamu looking to get the support from Christian Cullen. But again, the All Black forwards are having to turn around and go back fair distances. Blackadder.
There it is, up the ball. All the way.
And then Case moves the man with a knock on, but the Springboks are offside. Marshall.
Official crowd has just been announced, 59,000.
Andrew Mertens, with that kick into touch, must be thinking that he's just not getting enough possession to allow himself to dominate this game from a kicking perspective. And certainly plenty of possession coming in the way of the Springboks. Alatini, Urumia. The Springboks are making important inroads into the All Black attacking mechanism. Every opportunity that the All Blacks have is met with pretty much stern resistance from the Springboks. Cullen getting a bit frustrated. He's up now. This is Randall. Mertens. Some huge tackles from the Springboks there. You saw Urumia go in. Now Mertens downfield. Cullen looked for the chip and then he goes through beautifully. What a great finish by Cullen.
One thing to be said here is that if you do happen to be watching this game as a neutral, you must be having a wonderful time. It really is a great game of rugby. There's so much going on. Now, there's quite a lot of missed tackles, but there's a lot of enterprise. Now, watch this outrageous dummy. That is unbelievable stuff.
It's the sort of thing you'll find from that man, Cullen. Thought about the chip kick, held on, just whistled through the gap. But it was a good pass from Mertens, accurately placed. You could see poor old Mark Andrews put his arms up in anticipation of the little chip kick. And Cullen's got his 6th try of the Tri-Nations. Seven points that were desperately needed by the All Blacks prior to half-time.
Well, I think Cullen probably just says everything here about what a wonderful rugby player he is. It is, of course, a back running at a forward, and I'd like to see more of that from the South African game plan perspective.
Well, you know, despite those 5 tries by the Springboks, the difference is only 13 points. Now, the Springboks are certainly not going to rest on their laurels. Tana Umanga would not be the regular kicker in the side, but he's done well to get it down quite deep. Delport, he's got no support, so he's going to pump it downfield. And that's literally what has happened. Pretty much in the middle. Mertens, Ron Cribb. We haven't seen a lot of him in the first half, but he's been reduced to defensive tactics. Case Muse. Cribb in at scrum half. No room for Urumia to get through. The All Blacks haven't really looked to chip and charge the Springboks at all. And I think, well, you said that sort of says it all just now, Andy. I think that punt downfield from Case Muse maybe tells the same story from an All Black perspective.
I don't know whether we'll see that last move again, but there was a classic bit of Josh Kronfeld in it. The ball emerges from the ruck, and before the pass is made to the man who eventually knocked it on, Tana Umanga, Kronfeld disengaged himself from the ruck and went and stood in front of the one man who might have been able to tackle Tana Umanga, and he stood with his back to him. So, in other words, he's just basically playing as a blocker. Now, effectively, he's bending the laws, but he gets away with it.
Well, that's Norm Maxwell, one fancies coming off the blood bin. And, well, I would imagine Troy Flavel's come on. We'll pick it up just now. Van Straten reveling in these opportunities to ignite his backs. Erasmus, Fenta. The inventiveness coming out of the Springboks now. Esterhuizen, but that's behind the advantage line, and in retreat, Cricker couldn't hold on to it. This is Oliver. Lamu, Chester Williams just holding on long enough to try and slow the momentum of the big man. Mertens looking for width, finding Case Muse in the midfield. The Burley prop's done well. One crib. This is Mertens. Cullen has come back up into the line.
Let it go, number 2.
And that's confidence in the men who've got possession, because really if the Springboks could turn that, there's no one at home at the back for the All Blacks. Umanga finding space, he's got Cullen with him, wrong foots everybody, and Tana Umanga's got his second of the match. We really have seen some seemingly quite soft tries today, Andy.
Yeah, there's been a lot of one-on-one. It's gone through quite a lot of phases, but here Umanga is one-on-one, and again it's a back against a forward. And once he's beaten the first line of defence, it's only really a case of going through your moves when you're as good a player as Tana Umanga is. And he's got one man to beat, steps off his right foot, and he's gone. Chester Williams just stands there and applauds that.
Andrew Mertens with a conversion, so the All Blacks really, one feels, have got out of jail a little bit towards the end of this first half, but they'll be happy with the fact that they got those 2 tries from Umanga along with Cullen. So the Springboks have got 5. There you have it on the score sheet. Don't go away, we'll be back with you shortly. So there we have it. Robbie Fleck, perhaps the man of the first half on both sides, playing it inside centre today, and Bram van Straten will start the second half with a deep kick in. Mertens pumping it on. We haven't seen a lot of Brayton Paulse in this match. Delport not scared to hoist it and get the Springbok forwards going forward. This is Cribb, good counter-attack from him. The All Blacks have had a chat at half-time, no question about it. They've got to find a way of getting back into this game. Kronfeld, here they come, onto the big man. Lamu now, charging down the line, and that one's just gone a little bit too far.
That was probably the wrong option from the big man. I think if he'd hung on to the ball, taken the tackle, he might well have been able to set up a try-scoring movement there. This is another wonderful example of backs and forwards playing together. Kronfeld up with play. Lomu in the old days, I tell you, he would have just shrugged off Chester Williams there instead of putting the ball on the boot.
So Van Straten has just got a message from Andre Vos as to where they want that ball, and that's downfield. Mertens repeating the Springbok medicine of a hoist up, and beautifully fielded by Delport. That's well, you could almost classify that a dangerous tackle, but it's been fast and furious. Fleck now looking for space again. Fenter, huge tackle on him. Van Straten going midfield onto Christian Cullen. Kick through from Van Straten and back foot. It's only Ron Cribb all on his own. That's lovely skills that from the number 8, but he's kicked it straight into Chester Williams' hands. Springboks now, they're all over the place. Fasaki in the middle. Didn't have too many men close in, so he's held on to it. Consolidated. Fleck again. Some big tackles coming from the All Blacks onto Paulse this time, but the Springboks have got a penalty. And it's the usual in the 22. All Blacks offside.
Well, it happened a long way back in the movement, but applause once again for some variety at fly half. The up and under. First of all, we saw an up and under the other way from Mertens, brilliantly fielded by Delport. Van Straten then tried one of his own, which very nearly brought a try. All we're looking for is variety. We don't want to see the fly half passing every ball he gets.
Well, Andy, we have seen a lot of tactical efficiency, one feels, from Van Straten in the variation of the tactics, and showing that he has got those abilities, but he hasn't been able to bring them into Test rugby up to now. He was involved in that kick through, and well, just a little look up from Cribb, chipped it straight into Chester Williams' hands, and he didn't find enough space really to consolidate from there. The Springboks, unfortunately, their backline were all over the place, and it was left to Kurvis Fasaki to take it up. Just the one penalty attempted goal today by Van Straten. And with all that territorial advantage, the All Blacks have been quite disciplined in their own half of the field. So the first successful penalty goal then for Van Straten. And that's 11 points for the fly half. Nine points the difference. 36 South Africa, 27 New Zealand. Erasmus. Just a bit of consolidation from the Springboks, and now Paul's chance. Can he get the bounce? Well, the referee says that there was a knock-on, and Robbie Fleck is furious.
Yeah, I don't think he did touch it, but from where the referee was, it looked very suspicious, and the ref can only go on what he thinks. Let's have a look. If anything, he might have just patted it backwards with his right hand, but that's neither here nor there. Let's applaud the fact that Brayton Paulser, in his own 22, recognised that a chip over the top would split the All Blacks asunder.
Well, Norm Maxwell is now going to leave the field, and one fancies that might certainly be for the rest of the match. Troy Flavel has come on.
Gate, steady.
Now running by Mertens. Here comes Cullen again. He's found some space, and just look at that. He's glided past, and I think that try is going to be awarded. There was some debate as to whether he'd actually touched the corner flag as he went over, but really, he just took Delport on the outside.
Well, now they'll be looking back at that knock-on, because it set up a field position where the All Blacks were able to do this. First of all, Mertens took the ball running at pace. He was able to release Cullen, who was already in full stride, and Cullen is quicker than anybody around. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that try. It really is a wonderful piece of finishing. But watch Mertens as he takes the ball. He's already motoring, and as the pass hits Cullen, he's about 3/4 speed. He's able then to throw a move on Delport, who had to hang off him, and score in the corner. Classic rugby try.
Well, that's 2 to Cullen and 2 to Umaga, 2 to Fleck as well. And all eyes now on Andrew Mertens. The All Blacks slowly creeping back into this game. Well, he knows how to kick the pressure ones, does Andrew Mertens, and the All Blacks are right up there.
Well, 2 points in it, and at one stage South Africa led by 20.
Well, this try effectively has put the Springboks out of the Tri Nations, because they needed maximum points against the All Blacks and Australia. But I think a lot of people, would be happy with a victory today, never mind the Tri Nations. Up for it, Tane Randall, and he's knocked it on. The All Blacks certainly will be missing big Norm Maxwell with these kick-ins. And it looks like Greg Somerville's on the field as well for Case Muse.
Steady, keep it square. Steady, steady.
So the All Blacks making their changes, the Springboks with the same combination. Big tackle there on Robbie Fleck. Van Straten, down the line it goes. This is Esterhuizen's opportunity. Running onto it is Delport. Quick release. Again, it was good quick ball for Murray. Some good skills from the tight forwards as Andrews takes it in. Here they come again. Huge tackle there by Marshall on Erasmus. Swanepoel, what can he conjure up? It's a regular pass. Williams with the drop. Well, we're seeing it all here today, there's no question about it. Chester Williams getting into the back line and sensing a chance to get a drop goal for his country.
Well, it wasn't a bad idea. The execution makes it look horrible, but he only needed another metre of elevation and it might have just flipped over the bar.
Ron Cribb coming away with it. This is good play by the All Blacks. Umanga in at scrum half. Mertens. And again it's the width of the field being utilised as John Olomu comes into play. Looking to get round his man. There goes John Olomu. Is anybody going to stop him? The ask was for Chester Williams and he did it. Crucial tackle, still down the line it comes. Anton Oliver, there's extra men. And eventually it's Peter Alatini that couldn't hold on to it. Bit of pushing and shoving there from Cribb on Robbie Fleck.
Well, you asked if anybody was going to stop Lomu. It was in fact Rassie Erasmus's tackle. And Chester Williams then put his body on the line. There might have been a penalty against South Africa as Andre Venter put his hands into that breakdown situation. And they're going to actually have a penalty, presumably, for that little fracas between Cribb and Robbie Fleck.
Well, the All Blacks have got Mark Hammett on the touchline as well. And it looks like Leon MacDonald is also on the field at fullback.
Well, I can't believe that Christian Cullen's going to leave the field, so one wonders where he's going to play.
It could well only be an injury from Cullen's point of view, one fancies. So Wayne Smith not happy with the way things have been going. Certainly up front. Mertens to put New Zealand in the lead.
First time they've been in the lead since the 10th minute when Chester Williams scored the try that countermanded Mertens' third-minute penalty.
So points in the second half then belonging to the All Blacks. And Anton Oliver has left the field, so Mark Hammett is on. And perhaps Wayne Smith looking for some extra mobility too with Greg Somerville and Mark Hammett. Springboks looking to play wide, but the passing was not that great. Delport takes it in. Venter, and again it's quick ball for the Springboks. Here comes Visagie. He had a little sniff, but he wasn't going to be able to get past everybody. But now it's Fleck down the line, and again it's not a great pass.
Well, it's not often that you see Cobus Visagie in the wide open spaces here. And he hangs onto the ball a long time here, wasn't penalised.
Well, took a big tackle there from Leon MacDonald. There's the confirmation of Oliver's departure. And we mentioned Norm Maxwell, that he was going to leave the park. Well, he's back on again. Marshall. And again, the Springboks showing that really they've utilised the territorial advantage very, very well. And a lot of it has had to do with some very astute kicking from the base of the scrum by Swanepoel and Van Straten. Morea to the front to Andre Vos. Good variation that by the Springboks. Flocky's been a real handful in the midfield for the All Blacks. And Alatini and Iramia have had to do a lot of tackling.
Let it go now, let it go!
Ball played off the ground by the All Blacks as Iramia came away with it, and it was just as well for the Springboks.
Hands out.
Well, there's Leon MacDonald, who's come on for Christian Cullen.
Well, we've heard a message that Christian Cullen has in fact stretched a hamstring or pulled a hamstring, and that's the reason why he's had to leave the park.
Leon MacDonald, yet another Crusaders player, so he'll be familiar with most of the team.
Well, the seesaw continues as Van Straten gets the Springboks back into the lead.
Well, there's the hand coming in, and the referee said that a ruck had been formed.
Pillar of strength, Mark Andrews will be pleased with his performance today. Deep kick into Van Straten. Back foot Lomu. He hasn't got too much support outside of Leon MacDonald, and the Springboks really just set themselves up, 4 of them onto him.
Well, Ian McIntosh said before the game that one of the ways to play against the amazing back three is to kick the ball deep to them, make them chase back for it, and then come up on them, because as much as they get themselves motoring, you also get a chance to get yourself into a defensive alignment and stop them before they really start. 10-metre line, there are 5 guys there from the Springboks who hold the ball up and get turnover.
Oh, good defensive organisation by the Springboks. Swanepoel finding a little bit of space. Now's a chance for them. Is the referee going to penalise that dangerous tackle? Doesn't look like he is. Van Straten with a change of tactics, kicking to the corner flag. It's a big chase, and the chase is won by the All Blacks. So there you can see Corne Krige just holding his neck and saying that was a dangerous tackle there. But I don't think that Andrew Cole's going to blow for it. In fact, he's not. And that was for the ball rolling into touch in goal.
Well, the irony here was that the touch judge was right on target there. This is the break, and there's the tackle. Now, if that's not a dangerous high tackle, I don't know what is.
Iramia finding a little bit of space. He's a dangerous customer. Plenty of action there from Mark Hammett. Now Mertens. MacDonald coming in. He's an underrated player, is Leon MacDonald. He's not a Christian Cullen, but he can certainly punch holes if he has to. Somerville that took it in, and the Springboks have transgressed.
Keep first and then play the ball. On your feet.
Might well have been Andre Foss who was penalised. The quick transference of the ball by the All Blacks in close situations there was very impressive, and it very much looked like the only way they were going to lose the ball forward was if somebody from the Springboks grabbed it.
What sort of finish are we going to have here today? 22 minutes left, 76 points in this match.
Well, we saw the tries in the first half. There's John Smith. Maybe the second half is going to be a battle of the kickers.
Well, so far that's been the case outside of Cullen's try. Then it's over to the astute Mertens. He normally hits them so perfectly. The touch judges, it was so close, they consulted each other and then said nope. John Smith waiting for his opportunity, and well, just wonder what the Springboks are going to play here. Ollie LaRue's been hanging in as well.
That's actually one thing that could be considered. He might come on at loose head prop.
Mertens looked for Umanga. Asked him to get up close to him. That's a perfectly positioned kick onto Swanepoel, who took the mark. Delport. Well, that's an excellent effort that from Delport. He is a confidence player, and I'm sure that playing here at home is doing him a lot of good.
And confirmation, the number one being held up by Mark Lawrence. It's Ollie LaRue who's coming off, and John Smith, for the first time in his short test career, gets to play up what I believe is his best position, loose head prop.
He's grown up having played most of his rugby in the tight head berth, and also has been experimented with in the hooker position, but he's a versatile player and a big strong man, 121 kilograms. All Blacks seem to have settled themselves in the line-out. It's taken a long time for them to get quality line-out possession. Alatini stayed on his feet for a long time, despite the attentions of the Springboks. Hammett. Umanga. Mertens finding a bit of space. He was left unattended. He has a chance for McDonald, but that's a great tackle from Brayton Paulser. Still they come. Delport, the man that went in, and then Swanepoel with a relieving kick. Umanga, he's got Norm Maxwell back with him. He's not going to help him in the pace stakes. Down the line it goes. Lomu gets another chance, but there's close attention again on him. Alatini. Beautiful take that by Cribb. He's got such wonderful ball skills, as we so often see from New Zealand number 8s, but the Springboks looking to take it away.
One step forward, two steps back there. The ball loose. Springbok first to the ball, then for some reason through a shocking pass. And it might have been the man on your screen, Kubis Fasaki. Lovely straight run from Mertens. The tackle from behind was a very important one, and still it might have worked out for the All Blacks there.
I think it could have if Greg Somerville had looked to play the ball, but he joined the ruck, and as the ball popped out, wasn't keeping an eye on it, but really disappointing for Andre Foss there with that ball that was dropped down.
Just while that is on the screen, 76 points have been shared. There's Big Billy Mayer. The most ever shared by these sides, 90. In Auckland in 1997, 55-35 to the All Blacks.
Cribb finding a little bit of latitude, stays on his feet beautifully. All Black extra men again. Here comes Alatini and Iramia. Quick possession for Marshall, it's just what he wanted. Down the line they go, and Chester Williams with the interception. Referee says there was a knock-on.
He's arguing the toss there because it might well have gone straight down off his chest. We'll get another chance to look at it. And a couple of crucial knock-ons have gone against the Springboks, because if this has been picked up cleanly, then Chester might have been away.
Well, perhaps you can hear the booing from the crowd who didn't agree with that decision. All Blacks under all sorts of pressure at the back of that scrum, but Kronfeld comes away with it. Now it's Tane Randall. Lamu, Mertens, Elatini, and then Iramia was quickly blocked up and sandwiched by the Springboks. Again they come, Alatini. They're starting to get better possession now of the All Blacks. Umanga almost got around Delport. Still they come, Mertens. Brave effort that from Mertens to hold on to it. Marshall. Rare chance that for Carl Hooft. Springboks defensive work is holding.
Well, you said it, Gavin, because that is manful defence from the Springboks. They've been stretched right the way across their own 22. Not a man missed a tackle, and that's a bit of old-fashioned rugby, and we've seen a bit of that today. I wonder what he's thinking.
Is he thinking? There's Chester Williams. Now you'll just keep an eye on that as well. That's I think a tough call on the Springbok. In he went, and that ball pretty much bounced backwards.
And I think, to be fair, any referee would have given that as a knock-on.
Yeah, probably right. We've had the benefit of the slow-motion replay. That possession statistic showing that the All Blacks have got 51%. Well, that might well be for the second half.
Stay on.
Cribb onto Umanga. Two men onto him quickly. The Springboks have really defended manfully, but they've got into a defensive position quickly as well. Alatini onto MacDonald. Again, it's three men on one. The Springboks really getting themselves organised, and now the turnover.
Yeah, it's so hard to criticise something like that because it's turnover ball and they've relieved it. But if that ball had stayed in field, there was a chance for the Springboks to score at the other end there. And I think Grant Esterhuizen was well aware of the fact that he really needed to get that ball in field rather than out.
Just 2 points in it. South Africa 39, New Zealand 37. That's Warren Brosnian down on the touchline. Good take there by Tane Randall. Mertens with a drop attempt. Has he got it? Well, he's turned round. Andrew Mertens has put New Zealand back in the lead.
In the build-up, we saw one of the drop goals that Andrew Mertens missed in the 1995 World Cup. And this was from a fairly similar position, and that went straight and true. I wonder if he wishes he could have that one all over again.
Wonderful effort that from Mertens. Just summed up the situation, looked for the change. And the Springboks at the moment have got Albert van der Berg and Warren Brosnian both warming up. There they are in picture now. It really has been such a titanic struggle for both sides. They'll be exhausted at the finish, so the need for some fresh legs. Turnover ball for the Springboks. Now they want to do something with this. That's great ball for them. Maxwell on Erasmus. Van Straten. finding a bit of space on the inside. Crowd really on their feet right now. Swanepoel, Fasaki taking the shortest route. Well, Mark Hammett, close attentions there. Andrew Cole said, out you must go. Now they come again. It was John Smith that took it in. That's how close they are. Swanepoel going himself. Swanepoel's got the try.
I don't suppose I need to tell you at home, but the crowd has gone wild. And why not? That's brilliant stuff from the Springboks. And somebody somewhere this week has given Bram van Straten an injection of confidence, because he's doing things that he hasn't done previously. He is standing closer to the set pieces and the breakdowns, and that is allowing the likes of Werner Swanepoel to really do that kind of thing. Second try for the little scrum half, who's having the game of his life. And John Smith should be mentioned, because he was the man who did the battering build-up to that final breakdown.
That variation again has certainly helped the rest of the team, because there's been a feeling that up to now Swanepoel has really just been a passer of the ball from the base of the scrum, but now he's been a terrible menace today to the All Blacks. And mentioning Bram van Straten as well, Andy, as you did just now, you know, one feels that he's really got into a position where he's playing instinctive rugby. He's summing the situation up as he sees it and executing it as best as he can. So there's the drive up from John Smith, and he did particularly well, just kept it alive, and that was enough pressure there to allow Swanepoel the latitude that he wanted. The man marking again by the All Blacks showed some deficiencies a little closer in. Van Straten really is confident. He called for that ball, he said it's mine. MacDonald not finding too much room to move. Delport up for it. It's not a knock on, it went backwards, says the referee. Fleck, he's isolated himself, he's got Chester Williams with him. Still they're able to work their way out of it. Here comes Williams. Whoa, just missed the take. Paulson now. Back for it, Marshall. Was he nudged by Broughton Paulson? Alatini. Umanga. That's good recovery that by the All Blacks. Now Iramia. That's superb outside centre play. Now Umanga's into play. Mertens. He's got Kronfeld with him. And there's a big tackle. Perfect timing that from Andre Fenter. But the referee says it was too early. In fact, he's saying more than that. He said you didn't get your arms around him.
Touch and go. Come on. Without the ball.
Well, you said perfect timing. My immediate reaction was that it was before the ball had arrived. We'll get a chance to look at it again. And Andrew Cole, who'd be a referee in these circumstances, because he's made a few 50-50 decisions that could really decide which way this game finally goes. You know, a couple of knock-ons, whether he gives advantage to a certain team, and this one.
Coupled with the fact that he'd probably feel like he's run a standard marathon at the end of this game, back and forth upfield. Well, we've got 11 minutes left in this match, and Andrew Mertens is not going to kick at goal.
Well, let's have a look again. Pass on the inside, you might not see it here. There's the tackle, ball hasn't arrived.
Yeah, good call from Andrew Cole. Now Mark Hammett has got a lot on his shoulders here. Can the All Blacks get their line out right? Rundle at the back. They desperately need a goal right now to get back into the lead. The pride of two nations. Fantastic rivalry. Marshall. Just waiting up for it, Mertens. And Alatini trying to get through. He's smothered into the deck. And then back it comes. That's an awful delivery. And great work there by Mark Hammett.
Stay on.
But the big men standing off. Carl Hooft. Umanga. Kronfeldt. Still the Springbok defensive work holds. And then Chana Lamu, like an enraged bull, straight down the middle. Marshall, we haven't seen a big sniping break from him yet. Is that still to come? Randall. Springboks desperate now for an all-black era or turnover possession.
Well, they keep on making the tackles. They've only got another 10 minutes to do it. But, well, let's just applaud the teams, because whoever wins at the end of this game is going to have earned it.
Perhaps a draw would be a better result at the end of the day, Andy. 86 points. And Scott Robertson looks like he's also going to be coming onto the field in place of Kronfeldt. Yep, that's big Scott Robertson. First choice in many games during the course of this season. And Brosnian and Van der Berg are now coming on for Mark Andrews and Corné Krige.
Yeah, I think you've got to do that in these circumstances. They can't keep making tackles the way they have. Mark Andrews out on his feet. Great test match.
Pick up from Cribb. He's very strong and very powerful with those drives. Seen more of that in the second half than we saw from him in the first. Bad possession that for Mertens. Still a chance for Eremia. Springbok midfield has had their work cut out in the second half with Alatini and Eremia with lots of opportunities. But the other penalties being given for the Springboks being offside.
I think it was Andre Vos who came over and actually played the ball on the ground with the hands. And the referee again, yes, diving over, played a long advantage there, and they're going to take the scrum.
Well, we've seen the Springboks score a try from this position in this match. Can the All Blacks do the same? Perfect position. Isn't Todd Blackadder wishing perhaps that he had Christian Cullen on the field right now? Take nothing away from Leon MacDonald, but Cullen's explosiveness in these situations are really quite useful. A little bit of pushing and shoving there with Brosnian and Ron Cribb. I tell you what, Ron Brosnian enjoys his rugby. He'll be like a wild man from Borneo for these last 7 minutes. Cribb with a switch pass. That was clever play by him. Now Eremia. Still they come. Blackadder standing off Ron Cribb. Springboks are having to make so many tackles as Mark Hammett comes in. And they're doing it with a lot of skill too. We haven't seen knock-ons from them as of yet. And the Springboks have taken it away. They want a huge punt downfield from somebody. Is it going to be Paulser? Nope. Swanepoel. MacDonald. On to Mertens. And now Alatini. Albert van der Berg coming away with it. Excellent play by him. He was not in an offside position, says Andrew Cole. Esterhuizen. Where they come. The Springboks deciding to run it. And just look at this. This is Charles Marais. Big tackle on him for Stratton, up for it as well. There was a knock-on. In fact, a dual knock-on, says the referee, and the All Blacks will have the put-in. But are those players not tired?
Well, isn't it amazing what adrenaline can do? Because Charles Marais must be out on his feet, but he gets the ball in a loose position here, and suddenly he finds that he's got Ben Johnson's sprinting speed. And he's done it presumably without artificial help. And right at the end, you'll see the double knock on. This is a wonderful break from the hooker. There is the knock on from Bram van Straten. Very nearly created a try.
Another replacement on as well for the Springboks. And that'll be Willie Meyer coming on perhaps for Cobus Visagie. Yep. And again, that's a decision based on what Andy Capistano said just now. Men are out on their legs and they need fresh legs to defend, do the Springboks, for these last 6 minutes. What can New Zealand do? Again, it's Cribb at the back of the scrum. Iramia and John Olomu unable to pick it up. Paulson in possession. Still, the Springboks are going to have the put in at the scrum if they don't make something of this. Wolf and Straten look to drop. It's not a drop, it's an up and under. Pressure on John Olomu. Picked up by the Springboks. Can they get it down? Still they come, that's how close it is. Is Swanepoel going to get 3? Delport, up they come, but there's a knock on. Now it's Blackadder. How often do you see this? The All Blacks from behind their own goal line. That's how desperate it is right now. Nobody daring to kick. Even Mertens himself getting involved. Scott Robertson. All Blacks have made a little bit of ground and done rather well from that situation, but here come the Springboks. A little bit of over-exuberance at the ruck, and the possession has been lost, and this will really spoil it.
Yes, because it hasn't been a dirty game. It's been fast, it's been hard, and at times it's been uncompromising, but you haven't seen that kind of play. One thing I noticed while the All Blacks were trying to run it out from their own line was that Chester Williams had dropped back into the fullback position to cover for the missing Tinnis Delport, and experience does that for you. This is lovely stuff from Bram van Straten, and again, it's variety. He's not doing the same thing all the time. Andre Venter takes the catch, and we all thought he got across the line here, but it's Jonah Lomu who actually holds him up. And I suppose that's the benefit of having a guy who's 6'5" and 97 stone on the wing.
Well, even a little bit earlier there, we would have picked up that there was a shove in the back from Tane Randall, which is certainly penalisable. And this is Jaco van der Westhuizen, who will make his debut for South Africa if he comes on. And I fancy that Nick Mullett would like to give him a run, but these are critical circumstances. Andre Fostel arguing the point with Andrew Cole. So we're just waiting now for Andrew Mertens, and the stadium clock shows that there's 4 minutes left. 46-40. Mertens safe and secure with a touch finder, and I'll tell you what, there are certainly 59,000 eyes on little Jaco van der Westhuizen on the touchline.
Here's where the fight started.
Again, it comes down the line from Mertens. Passed a lot of balls today, and the All Blacks really have found terrific defensive work from the Springboks. Umanga's had a busy afternoon too. 2 tries he's notched onto his stick. Marshall onto Mertens, and quickly thumped into touch. Now it's Van der Berg, and the Springboks will be disappointed that they couldn't make more of that. And I'll tell you what a time to make your debut in Test rugby. Here comes Jaco van der Westhuizen on for Robbie Fleck, and I think Bram van Straten as Andy, you'd suggested might well happen during this match, is going to happen, has moved into inside centre.
Well, the irony is he's earned his spurs at fly half today, by far his best game for South Africa.
Tucked down to Marshall is a really tough ball for the scrum half.
Stay out, Griffin. Roll away. Roll away. There it is. There it is.
Delayed possession for the All Blacks. That's not great ball for them. Still, they've got to somehow try and bring Big John Olomu into play. He's been shadowed all afternoon. Just no way through for the men in black, and they're not looking to vary their tactics either. We've seen no little chip kicks. They've kept the ball in hand and just try to bash it up. Here comes Blackadder now. Boyd on, and Scott Robertson onto Umanga. Very little support for Umanga, and the referee has penalised him for holding on the deck. The All Blacks were too slow getting to the point of breakdown.
No support. No select.
Well, they finally broke through a tackle and managed to make 30 metres. But then the last line of defence keeps holding out for South Africa. It was Chester Williams. He's on his feet. He's allowed to play the ball. And the tackled man has to release it.
Well, there's many eyes that were on Jaco van der Westhuizen just now, certainly on the stadium clock right now, as it winds its way down.
I've just seen Andre Venter bellowing instructions at his backs, and you know what the instructions are. The first man that misses a tackle has to answer to me.
Swanepoel to Erasmus in the fly half position. Puts his head down and drives through. It's all about keeping that possession now. The Springboks will want to hold it. Van der Westhuizen. Another chance for Van der Westhuizen. Did well, did the fly half. Now the drop attempt from Van Straten. It's a huge effort, but it's not going to make it. What does MacDonald do? He's going to have to play it. The hoot has just gone. Well, can you believe it? He perhaps didn't hear the hooter. His teammates were shouting to him to play it, but it doesn't matter. It's too late. The Springboks have beaten the All Blacks against all sorts of odds, and what a wonderful test match it's been. 6 tries from South Africa and 4 from New Zealand. Van Straten, just look at the delight on the face of the Springboks. Ollie Leroux managed to see the game through, and I'm pretty sure there'll be a great level of respect from the All Blacks for the efforts today of the Springboks, Andy.
Amazing game of rugby. Couldn't be happier for Andre Vos, who's gone through the horrors as Springbok captain and has finally on home soil got a significant win against a major test nation. 56th game between these two sides. It's now 26 to the All Blacks, 25 to the Springboks. It's always been close. This game, despite the points, was always close, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Well, an absolute spectacle it was. And there you have it. The fireworks are plenty down here. 10 tries in the match, and some wonderful rugby played by 2 of the great nations in the world of rugby.